أشهد أن محمدًا رسول
Alhamdulillah, once again Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this opportunity to get together like this in one of His blessed houses. We make dua Allah uses this as a means of salvation for all of us on Yawm al-Qiyamah. There are many blessings, many virtues and many significance of getting together in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For the love of Allah, for the sake of Allah, we make dua Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes us all amongst those who receive all of the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised in the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Today is a very special day, especially for the people of this masjid, because it's the first time we're holding a program in this masjid on the life of Imam Shaafi rahmatullah alayhi. And a lot of the people who are associated with this masjid are followers of the Fiqh and the Madhab of Imam Shaafi rahmatullah alayhi. So like this, it is a grand occasion to remember this great Imam, who this great Imam was, who many of the people who attend this masjid have been hearing his name from the time they were born. They have been learning from his teachings, following him, but we don't know much about him. So today, inshallah, will be a great opportunity. And for the rest of us who may not directly follow the fiqh of Imam Shaafi'i, but we also do benefit from the teachings of Imam Shaafi'i, like we'll learn, inshallah, today. And the whole ummah is indebted to the life and the legacy of Imam Shaafi'i, rahmatullah alayhi. Before we start the actual talk, we're going to go right to the end of the life of Imam Shaafi'i rahmatullah alayhi. The whole life of Imam Shaafi'i was amazing. So normally we start from the beginning. Today we're going to start from the end. And the reason I say this is, Imam Shaafi'i rahmatullah alayhi, one of his specialities from amongst many, he mastered all areas. But one of the areas which he mastered was the Arabic language. And the poetry of Imam Shaafi'i rahmatullah alayhi is very famous. You have the Diwan of Imam Shaafi'i, the Arabic couplets, and his Arabic was amazing. And Imam Shaafi'i rahmatullah alayhi, when he was on his deathbed, as Brother Muhammad Ilyas will explain to you in a moment, he passed away again saying some Arabic couplets which have a very beautiful meaning. A lot of you will have heard this as a nasheed, but not know these are the words of the final words of Imam Shaafi'i. They start with ilayka. Many of you will have heard a nasheed called ilayka. Yes, ilayka. This is the poetry of Imam Shaafi'i rahmatullah alayhi on his deathbed. It's quite long. It's in Arabic originally. We'll get it translated for you, inshallah. So today, inshallah, we'll get a chance to listen to this verse, inshallah, before the talk starts. Brother Muhammad Ilyas.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Imam Shafi'i was on his deathbed and was asked by al-Muzani, "What is your condition?" Then Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah replied, "I am journeying from this world and departing from my brothers, drinking from the cup of death, and upon Allah, exalted in His remembrance, arriving. And no, by Allah, I do not know if my soul is traveling towards paradise or the fire." Imam Shaafi rahimahullah then began to cry profusely and recited the following: "To you, the Creator, I raise my longing, and even if I am an evildoer, a criminal, or possessor of kindness and generosity, when my heart became constricted and my paths became narrow, I took my hope in your pardon and forgiveness as an opening and an escape. My sins seemed very great to me, but when I compared them to your forgiveness, I found your forgiveness to be much greater. You are and still remain the only one who can forgive sins. You grant and forgive out of your benevolence and generosity. Were it not for you, then a servant could never defy Iblis. And how can that be when he misled your friend of Adam? If only I knew, will I arrive at paradise that I may take delight, or at hellfire that I may regret? How capable is Allah? For the one acquainted with lament, blood almost froze from his eyelids due to the excess of his lament. He stands when the night extends out his darkness, stands against himself out of extreme fear, sinful, eloquent when he makes mention of his Lord, and when in the mention of others other than him, he is speechless. He remembers days gone by of his youth, and what was in it of ignorance. He was a criminal. And so for the whole of his day, the companion of grief has become the brother of sleeplessness, and secret conversation when the night darkens. He says, my beloved, You are what I request and desire. You are enough of a longing and benefit for those who have hope. Are you not the one who has provided for me and guided me? And you have not ceased being generous to me and full of favors. Perhaps the beneficent one will forgive my mistakes and cover up my crime and what has gone forth. My sins seemed very great to me, so I turned to you in humility. Were it not for my contentment in you, I wouldn't, O my Lord, have seen any comfort at all. So if you forgive me, you would have forgiven a sinner, a rebellious, oppressive tyrant still sinning. So if you were to seek revenge from me, I would not despair, even if they entered my soul into Jahannam due to the sins. For my crimes are great, past and present, but your forgiveness comes to the servant more exalted and more great. The bounty of Allah surrounds me from all sides, and light from the most merciful has spread in the sky. And in the heart is the radiance of the beloved when he is reunited, and when glad tidings draw close, it becomes feverish. Exhilaration surrounds me only for Allah. It overlooks me in the darkness of the grave, apparent and clear. I protect my love lest my desire should pollute it, and I preserve the contract of love lest it be defiled. In my wakefulness is yearning, and in my slumber is destiny that is pursuing my footsteps in ecstasy. Whoever holds fast to Allah, he is protected from men. And whoever hopes for him, then never will he regret.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah wa kafa wa salamun ala ibadihi alladhina astafa amma ba'd. Fa'a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. Recite the Muslim. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. We begin with a hadith which has been narrated by Imam Ahmed Ibn Hanbal, rahmatullah alayhi, in his Musnad. Imam Ahmed is the fourth Imam, which we'll speak about in the next program, inshallah. And we hear about the greatness of Imam Ahmed very often. Imam Ahmed Ibn Hanbal, rahmatullah alayhi, he used to mention a hadith, and he's mentioned this in his Musnad. And he said that I believe that this hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is speaking about Imam Shaafi. And he said, Allahumma ahdi Qurayshan, فَإِنَّ الْعَالِمَ مِنْهُمْ يَسَعُ طَبَقَاتِ الْأَرْضِ فِي الْآخَرِينَ. That may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide the Quraysh. And he said, an alim from amongst them, he will encompass the earth, and his knowledge will spread. He will search for knowledge, and his knowledge will spread throughout the earth. And Imam Ahmad used to say that this hadith is speaking about Imam Shaafi'i rahmatullah. I mean, that's a great honor to believe that is a hadith where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has prophesied the coming. Last time we spoke about a hadith where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam praised Imam Maalik before the arrival of Imam Maalik. The week before, the month before, we spoke about a narration which could possibly be referring to Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah. So this narration is indicating the arrival of a great Imam, Imam Shaafi'i rahmatullah alayh. Imam Ahmad also goes on to say that if I'm asked something, if somebody comes and asks me a ruling, and I don't know the answer to this, I don't know a hadith, how can I answer with a hadith? I don't know. If I'm not aware of a hadith, then he says, I always use the opinion of Imam Shaafi'i rahmatullah alayh to answer this because he was the Imam of the Quraysh. He was the Imam of the Quraysh. Another virtue of Imam Shaafi'i, which is unanimous amongst all of the scholars, is the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions that after every 100 years, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends a Mujadid. A Mujadid being a reviver. Somebody who comes to revive the deen, who shuns the innovations and revives the deen once again. And unanimously all the scholars agree that the first amongst the Mujaddideen was Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz was the first Mujaddid of this ummah. I'm talking about after the Khulafa, of course. And then after him, without any difference of opinion, the next Mujaddid who came 100 years after that was Imam Shaafi'i rahmatullah alayh. So he was known as a Mujaddid as well. Now, how beautiful is the life of Imam Shaafi'i? Imam Shaafi'i has been sandwiched. When I say sandwich, what does that mean? Who is the greatest teacher of Imam Shaafi'i rahmatullah alayhi? Imam Maalik. Okay? Imam Maalik is one of the greatest teachers of Imam Shaafi'i rahmatullah alayhi. And who is one of the greatest students of Imam Shaafi'i? Imam Ahmed Ibn Hanbal. So this Imam Shaafi'i, was so great, having the teacher Imam Maalik and a student of Imam Ahmed Ibn Hanbal, and he's right in between. So you can imagine how great this Imam was. And let's understand him better, who he was himself. In terms of his lineage, he came from a very noble background. His grandfather was Sa'ib ibn Ubayd al-Hashimi, who became a Sahabi radiyallahu anhu. He in terms of appearance, he resembled the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. When you looked at him, you'd think that you're looking at the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He actually came to fight the Muslims in the Battle of Badr. He was on the side of the enemies of Islam. And he came to fight, and he was captured as one of the prisoners of war. And when the Prophet ﷺ was about to release based on ransom, when he saw this behavior of the Prophet ﷺ, at this time, the grandfather of Imam Shaafi accepted Islam and he became a Sahabi. So this is Sa'ib ibn Ubayd al-Hashimi, the grandfather of Imam Shaafi'i rahmatullah alayhi. Imam Shaafi was born in the year 150. And if you remember, someone passed away in the year 150. Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayhi passed away in the year 150. Imam Shaafi is born in the year 150. Some scholars have gone as far as to say, the day Imam Abu Hanifa passed away, Imam Shaafi was born. As if Allah took one away and He sent another. Okay, one went and another came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another interesting thing about Imam Shaafi, where was he born? Imam Shaafi was born in Gaza. The Gaza we know today, we know Gaza for many reasons. But this is another reason why we should know Gaza. Gaza, which is called Gaza, and the original name of Gaza is Gaza to Hashim. Gaza to Hashim. This is the actual name of Gaza. Gaza to Hashim. You know why it's called Gaza to Hashim? Who was Hashim? Who was Hashim? Banu Hashim. Who's from Banu Hashim? The Prophet ﷺ is from Banu Hashim. So one of the great grandfathers of the Prophet ﷺ was Hashim. Hashim passed away in Gaza. So from then it's known as Gaza to Hashim, on a business journey. So one of the great grandfathers of the Prophet ﷺ passed away in Gaza. This is why Gaza is known as Gaza to Hashim. And this is exactly where Imam Shaafi'i rahmatullah alayhi is born as well. So the father of Imam Shaafi'i is from the Banu Muttalib. You know, Abdul Muttalib. So Banu Muttalib and also the Banu Hashim, Banu Muttalib are related. These are all the families of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The father, now we don't hear much about the father of Imam Shaafi'i rahmatullah alayhi. The father of Imam Shaafi'i rahmatullah alayhi passed away when Imam Shaafi'i was only 1 or 2 years old. So he didn't really see much of his father. And what was his father's name? Anybody? Followers of Imam Shaafi'i. What was his father's? What was the name of Imam Shaafi'i? His name wasn't Shaafi'i. Besides you. He's done all his homework before he came. What about the rest of us Shafi'is? Okay, Muhammad Ibn Idris. Muhammad, the son of Idris. So the name of Imam Shafi'i, okay, was Muhammad. His father's name was Idris. So Muhammad Ibn Idris al-Shafi'i. So Idris, the father of Imam Shaafi'i rahmatullah alayhi, passed away when Imam Shaafi'i was only maybe 1 or 2 years old. What about the mother? So we understand who the father is from a very noble lineage. The mother, again, her name was Fatima, originally from Yemen, from the tribe of Azd, okay, from Yemen originally, who settled in Makkah later on, these people. She was the great granddaughter of Hassan ibn Ali, radiyallahu anhu. So again, a very noble lineage. So Hassan, the son of Ali, the son of Fatima, the daughter of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So again, from both sides, very, very noble lineage, and this was the mother of Imam Shaafi'i rahmatullah alayhi. Now, an interesting point over here. The father passes away when Imam Shaafi'i is only 1 or 2 years old. Now, the mother is now all alone. What do we call this? We call this single parent. We're living in a time where we have a lot of single parents nowadays. And there's two ways you can take. Being a single parent isn't easy. And we must learn to sympathize and understand that it's a great act of obedience to support the widows. We find this in the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ, he encourages us to support the orphans, to support the widows. And it's not easy without a man in the house for a woman to look after the children and take responsibility of being the sole breadwinner and all the rest of it. It's not simple, it's not easy. However, if this is the condition that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept you in, there's two ways you can go about it. As difficult as it may be, this is your difficulty, this is your issue, this is your problem in life, and other people are facing different problems. Everyone's got a problem. Everyone is facing some sort of difficulty. So there's two ways to go. Either a person can become depressed and give up on life and just complain and think there's no one for me, there's no one to look after me, there's no one to do anything for me, my husband's passed away, and just switch off totally and become despondent. Or the other thing is, we take inspiration from such single mothers like the mother of Imam Shaafi rahmatullah alayh. She could have sat down at home and thought, well, I'm not going to do anything now. But no, she took a turn in her life. This was a turning point in her life. Being a single mother who she was, she decided, she told her son, who was very young at the time, that I am not going to remarry. She had the choice of getting married again. She said, I'm not going to marry again. Why? Because I want to dedicate all my life to you. And I want you to become a great scholar. I want you to go and study. So the mother of Imam Shaafi, she took Imam Shaafi from Palestine, from Gaza, and she took him to where she was from, which was, her family was living in Makkah at the time, the Banu Hashim. And she took him there, and she traveled alone, she went all the way there, and she took Imam Shaafi'i, and she said to him that, look, we are very, very poor. He's a young child at this time. We are very, very poor. They didn't have anything whatsoever. And I'm not going to get married again because I want to focus all my efforts on you. I want to dedicate everything to you, and I want to dedicate you to knowledge and to ilm, hoping that one day Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to grant you a very high position. So remember, these people have no money whatsoever. Very, very poor. Whatever they did have, they used it in their travel from Palestine, coming all the way to Makkah. They meet some of their relatives, and they are given some sort of shelter. As soon as they arrive, the mother sends Muhammad ibn Idris, Imam Shaafi, out. Go and search for a class. I want you to go and join the class of a sheikh. Find some sheikh who's teaching the knowledge of deen. Go and join a class. So he goes and joins a class. Now Muhammad ibn Idris, Imam Shaafi, very poor. He didn't have money. At that time, you had to get into the lessons, you had to pay. Just for some of the higher classes you had, it wasn't you just turn up on the doorstep and sit. Sometimes we have this image that, these mashayikh used to have these circles and anybody could come and join in. Some of them, yes, were like that. But we spoke last time, Imam Maalik's circle wasn't much that you could just go and join. You had to fit a certain criteria. And he believed, that's what his belief was, that ilm, you have to give it something. You can't just take it easy. You can't just, you can't be lazy about it or have a laid-back attitude in regards to it. So he didn't have any money to join the classes. Also, his clothes were all ripped because they were very poor. So you could tell just by looking at him that he was from a very, very poor family. So ripped clothing, no money. The first day he went and joined the gathering, and the sheikh was delivering the lesson and teaching the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Muhammad ibn Idris, Imam Shaafi, returns home and he complains to his mom. Mom says, how was your day? He said, I went to the gathering, I listened to the lesson, but the teacher just ignored me. He didn't even look towards me. Maybe it's because the way I was dressed. I didn't get any attention whatsoever. I don't want to go again. So the mother said, don't worry. Even if you get ignored. He says that he treated me as if I wasn't even there, as if I didn't even exist. She says, don't worry. I want you to go again. Go and join the circle again. Present yourself in such a way, don't even let the teacher know that you've gone there. Go and sit in the gathering in such a way that your presence isn't even known. Listen very attentively and benefit as much as you can. At the end of the day, you've gone to learn. Whether he directly teaches you or not, it doesn't matter. Whether he gives you any attention, I want you to go and learn and study and benefit. So he goes. And when he went there, he sat on the side. Again, he was ignored. He wasn't given any attention. And he listened. And whilst listening, what would happen is, he was listening and then the teacher would have, there would be like a break, an interval. So when the teacher would leave, Imam Shaafi, Muhammad ibn Idris, he would go around to the other students. And the other students would be writing. He could afford a pen or paper to write with. So he just listened. So he would go to the other students, and the other students, he would ask them that, can we like revise it together? Whatever's been learned in this interval, I want to revise it with you. They said, fine. But what would happen is, the other students would have gaps in their writing. And Imam Shaafi'i, he would fill in the gaps for them. So although just by memory, they were writing, he wasn't writing. And remember, he's very, very young at this time. And this continued. So in the absence of, all the other students in the circle of this great scholar were now slowly benefiting from Imam Shaafi'i, who was ignored. He was ignored. But look at this, having a positive attitude. It's about you, not about them. Okay, many lessons we can learn. People can treat you how they want. It's about how you are. Imam Shaafi'i could have complained and said, I don't want to get involved. They don't treat me well. He does this to me. No, it's not about him. It's not about them. It's about you. It's about your attitude. And having a positive attitude. The glass, you can say it's half full or it's half empty. It's up to you how you see it. Most of us look at things and say it's half empty. And this is our failure. This is where we are losing. There's a way of looking at it and saying, no, the glass is half full. So he went, the mother encouraged him and said, no, go, listen. So what happens now, after a period of time, the level of understanding in this sheikh's class started to all of a sudden increase. He noticed that his students had become extra clever, more than they were before. And he was trying to find out, what's going on? What's happened? What have you guys been eating? Almonds or something in the morning? What's going on? How come there's been such a sudden change that all of a sudden my students have become really clever? So what happens is, after some time, the students then said that, in your absence, this is what happens. And the teacher then called him. After so much ignoring, called him. Remember, he was only 6 years old at this time. 6 years old. And when he listened to him and saw how much he had memorized, the teacher actually appointed him as an assistant teacher for his circle of hadith. At the age of 6. Now, disclaimer. Everything you're going to hear about Imam Shaafi is amazing. It's mind-blowing. From now I'm telling you. Because this person was mind-blowing. Everything you hear about him, he was just extra special. All the Imams were special. But Imam Shaafi'i, you find from a very, very young age, he was blessed. So at the age of 6, he's now become a teaching assistant. So the teacher would make him sit with him. And he would not only study, but he would also help teaching and fill in the gaps and explain to the other students as well. And then when some sort of income and did come to their family, the mother said, go and give this to the teacher. And he went and presented that, until now I've not been able to pay for my lessons. I want to give you something. And the teacher said, it's not halal for me to take from you. You're not only a student, you're a teacher as well in my class. I can't take anything from you. So then he continued. At the age of 7, Imam Shaafi completed the hifd of the Quran. The memorization. You're saying subhanAllah, it's good. I know I've got friends who became Hafiz at the age of 7 as well. Okay, so for me, that's not something. I know it's amazing now. It's amazing, it is. Of course it is. Whenever it was done. But I've seen this already in today's era. A particular family, not only the boys, even the girls, at the age of 7, they're Hafiz of the Quran. I know that's amazing, it's mind-blowing. But what's coming next after this is even more mind-blowing. So at the age of 7, he completed the hifd of the Quran. Now, in all of the circles in that period, there was one special book which was taught, and that was the book. Which book was this? The Muwa'tta of Imam Maalik. Those of you who were present last session, you will be following. Everything follows from there. Remember, all of these Imams were interlinked. They had great respect for each other. There was no opposition as such, the way we make it out today. It wasn't like, they were against them and they were against them. No, they were very closely linked. So the Muwa'tta of Imam Maalik, this was the book of hadith which was taught by everybody. Now, Imam Shaafi'i, like I told you, he was too poor. He couldn't actually buy the whole copy of the Muwa'tta. So he says himself that my mother, she would go roaming into the streets of Makkah. And in the garbage where they'd thrown out the government papers that they didn't need anymore, she would pick these up. Because I didn't have anything to write with. Paper is not cheap as well. You have to buy the paper, you have to buy the pen, and obviously there's a lot of writing to do. So she would pick this up, and also I would go in the streets, I collected bones, I collected dried camel skin, and I would write on this. And he says that he couldn't buy his own copy, so he says he asked one of his friends, one of his companions in his class to borrow their copy of the Muwa'tta. I was going to actually bring it in today, but I forgot as I was leaving, just to show you the Muwa'tta of Imam Maalik. And it says that in 9 days, he managed to memorize the whole of the Muwa'tta of Imam Maalik at the age of 9. So he was only 9 years old. In 9 days, he copied it from there and he managed to memorize the whole thing. He couldn't write it all out, he couldn't get his own copy. So he just thought, let me just memorize it. And for what is it's a book of hadith, and it's thick. There's hundreds of hadith in there, and it's not something so easy. Quran is different. Allah says, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. That we've made the Quran easy to memorize. Is there anyone who will memorize it? So the Quran is made easy miraculously. But to learn the Muwa'tta of Imam Maalik, which has got hundreds of hadith in there, it's not an easy task. Now the mother, again, she wasn't satisfied that, okay, he's become Hafiz. Okay, sometimes a lot of us, we just want our kids to finish the Quran in madrasa. They're like, when will my child finish the Quran? That's all it's about. When will he finish the Quran? Because you want to have that party and that's it. No, you don't want that responsibility of going to dropping them off, picking them up. You just want to get them through. But she wasn't satisfied. He'd become Hafiz of the Quran, completed the memorization of Muwa'tta. She would go and follow these great scholars, Sufyan ibn Uyayna, a great hadith scholar, Imam Maalik, and she would go and try to get them to agree of Imam Shaafi to go and attend their classes. Imam Maalik was in Medina at the time. Imam Shaafi also had a very beautiful voice. So, whenever there was a gathering, sometimes it happens, sometimes whenever there's a gathering, you get certain children to come and read Quran. Okay, there's a wedding, you call a certain child to read the Quran. There's an occasion, okay, where's that child going? Come and read some Quran. So he would start up all the gatherings. So he was known like this as well. And another thing the mother wanted him to focus on was to study Arabic. Now Arabic was their language, Arabic is what they spoke. But she wanted him to master the Arabic language. And the tribe of Hudayl, which was the tribe of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, they were masters in the Arabic language. In total, Imam Shaafi continued studying Arabic for 17 years. Throughout, he continued. This is why you find that in the gatherings and the lectures of Imam Shaafi, when he would be lecturing the lectures of Fiqh and Hadith, everybody attended his gathering, even the people who were not religious. The people who had nothing to do with religion. They didn't want to really learn and benefit from what he was saying. So people would ask him that, why have you come? You're not like a really religious person. You don't normally come to the masjid. Why is it when he speaks, you're always here? They said, we love his Arabic. The Arabic he speaks is beautiful. We just like listening to it. We can listen to it all day. That's the only reason why we attend his gatherings, because his Arabic is so beautiful. And the poetry I mentioned earlier of Imam Shaafi is very, very famous. And many, many lessons can be taken from just his poetry. Just to speak about the poetry of Imam Shaafi, you need many sessions because he had so much poetry, and some have compiled it in the books as well. Anyhow, so Imam Shaafi, again, alongside Arabic and Hadith, he mastered the field of archery as well. He was a very good archer. And when we've spoken about Zamzam previously, and we discussed how great scholars, when they drank the water of Zamzam, and the Prophet ﷺ mentioned Ma'u Zamzam lima shuribala, that the water of Zamzam, whichever objective and intention you drink it with, Allah will give that to you. Regardless, anything you want, you drink Zamzam with that intention, Allah will grant it. When Imam Shaafi'i drank the water of Zamzam, he prayed, oh Allah, I love archery. And when I shoot my arrow, it's 9 out of 10 I hit the target. Oh Allah, I want it 10 out of 10. And Allah granted it to him. So whenever he shot the arrow, it always hit the target. This is another hobby of Imam Shaafi, and it's a sunnah as well. It's a sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ as well. He mastered everything he touched. Any area he would go in, he'd master it. And to the extent it says that whenever he'd be in a class, after a while he'd get bored. Remember, he was very young. He'd get really bored. Why? Because as soon as he'd get to the class, within a few moments he'd learn everything. Everything that there was to learn, he'd get bored. And then he'd just find pieces of paper and start writing hadith on there and writing things on there. So he would get bored, he'd need something to, so he goes, I just collected paper and I just carry on writing and writing and writing, because he would master everything. And he says that we were so poor, we didn't have anything to eat. We didn't have any money. We were really, really poor. He goes, every day when I would return from the class and I would return home, me and my mother would not know what we were going to eat today. That's the condition they were living in. But what used to happen is because they became known in the area, someone would send something. So he goes, one day we'd go home and we'd receive milk, and that would be our dinner. Breakfast, supper, lunch, dinner, everything. The next day we'd get home and some bread would have come. The next day something else. There was something always there, something always came. People always sent something, but we didn't know what it's going to be. It could be absolutely anything. It could be some dates somebody just dropped off. And that's how they continued. Imam Shaafi, this is now, again, he's in his early teens. Or even before that. So he's about 12, 13. Officially now, by the Kaaba, he became so well known that next to the Kaaba, he would sit in the Haram of Makkah and he would lecture. And people would come and listen to his lectures and they would learn from them. Once it was the holy month of Ramadan. He was sitting in the Haram of Makkah, next to the Kaaba. And now he is giving a class. And the topic is Siyam, fasting. The rulings of fasting, the virtues of fasting, the fiqh of fasting. And he's giving this class in the month of Ramadan, in the Haram of Makkah, sitting by the Kaaba. And he's teaching away, and people are benefiting. And halfway through the lesson, he picks up a glass of water and he drinks it. And he puts it down. And everyone's just like shocked and thinking, Sheikh, like mini Sheikh, you're teaching us about Ramadan, about fasting. It's the month of Ramadan. You've just had a glass of water. He goes, yeah, it's hot. Like, I'm feeling hot, so I had some water. So they go, well, fasting. He goes, I'm not baligh, I've not reached the age of puberty yet. Fasting's not necessary upon me. I was teaching away and the sun is really hot, so I wanted some water. And this is how young he was. But remember one thing, it was one of the rules of Imam Shaafi, that you're not allowed to ask anyone their age, especially a scholar. Like, he believed that you shouldn't ask a scholar their age. And do you know where he got that from? Where did he get it from? Imam Maalik. But Imam Maalik was like that. If you remember last time we spoke, Imam Maalik was a man of principle. Like certain things you couldn't ask him. Like remember that person who asked him a mas'ala whilst he was walking, and like he told him, like, from now on you're not my student, because how can you speak about an aspect of deen once we're walking around? You should come to the masjid where I'm sitting and you should ask me there. That was Imam Maalik's individual stance, remember. That's not part of, we're not going to apply it to everybody. So that's where he took it from. And he used to believe that if somebody asks a scholar how old they are, and they say a certain age, say he's going to say I'm 20. So those people who are younger than him, the ones who are younger than him, who are like say 15 or younger than that, they're not going to think much of him. They're going to think, oh, he's too old for us. And those who are older than him, they're going to know he's a little kid. So you will devalue him. So he used to believe that you don't ask the age of a scholar. So, don't come and ask me afterwards how old I am. Anyway, so Imam Shaafi, at the age of 15, he was given the official license of giving fatwa by the Grand Mufti of Makkah. Muslim Ibn Khalid al-Zanji, who was the Grand Mufti of Makkah. Shall I tell you something, other thing amazing? This is a Grand Mufti of Makkah, going back in the early days. We're not very far from the Prophet ﷺ's time, and he was an African in the Haram. Okay? And before him, who was the Grand Mufti? Ata ibn Abi Rabah, again an African. Okay? In the Haram of Makkah. So, Muslim Ibn Khalid al-Zanji at the age of 15 gave the official license to Imam Shaafi'i to issue fatwa. They actually say that Imam Shaafi'i had a baby face. He didn't have any hair on his chin, just a little bit. And he looked very, very young. But he was very closely connected to Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. If you look at the fiqh of Abu Hanifa, he takes everything from Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. And Imam Maalik, he took his creed and his teachings from Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu. Imam Shaafi'i benefited the most from the Sahabi, Abdullah ibn Abbas. And remember, who was Abdullah ibn Abbas? He was also very young as well. He accompanied the Prophet ﷺ at a very, very young age, and he grew very, very fast in the field of knowledge. There are certain ahadith we have from Ibn Abbas from when he was a very, very young child. And we recite them today and we know them as the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. How did they reach us? You know, we find, Ya ghulam, inni u'allimuka kalimat, ihfadillaha yahfadh, ihfadillaha tadidhu tajah. This hadith is from Ibn Abbas. He was only 7 years old at the time. And so he was amazing. So he benefited a lot and had a lot of resemblance with Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhum. Another thing about Imam Shaafi'i, it says that whenever he would read a book, or even the Quran, whenever he would read the Quran, imagine that's the Quran, okay, so you've got the two sides. He would cover one side. When he would read, he would get one side covered, and he would read. So people would ask him, why is it that you do it in that way? He says, if I leave it uncovered, then what will happen is my mind is such that whatever I read, I memorize. He goes, I'll end up memorizing the Quran like this. Do you understand? Okay, from the whole line, I'll start memorizing it. I don't want that to happen. So he would cover one side just so that he doesn't end up memorizing it in the incorrect order. So this was the memory, the photographic memory of Imam Shaafi'i rahmatullah alayhi. So he learned everything about the Arabs. He learned the history of the Arabs. He learned the language of the Arabs. He learned the poetry of the Arabs. He learned the culture of the Arabs. And when he mastered all of that, someone came to him and he said that it's sad that you learn all of this without mastering fiqh. I mean, you've learned so much, you've learned a lot, but it seems like, one aspect or one field which you've not mastered is the knowledge of fiqh. And that really hit him. That hit him. And he thought, hang on, I'm ready to learn. I think I've learned everything. If there's anything else to learn, bring it on. I want to learn. Remember, he used to get bored because he'd learn everything. So he said, okay, if you're telling me, no, if he's been given the license of being the Grand Mufti at the age of 15, you'd imagine that there are scholars, but you would be one of the great scholars at the time. So he said, who shall I go to learn by? Give me a name, I'll go right now. And somebody said to him that Imam Maalik is in Medina. Go to him. He's a great scholar, and you learn fiqh from him. So at the age of 23, Imam Shaafi'i travels, and he leaves Makkah, and he goes to Medina. Now, before he goes to Medina, what does he do? What was the book of Imam Maalik? The Muwa'tta, right? So he has to impress Imam Maalik to get into his circle. You can't remember, you couldn't just get into a hadith circle like that. So what he does, how old was Imam Shaafi when he memorized the Muwa'tta? 9. And now what he does, he thinks, okay, let me go over it again, do some revision. So he sits and he goes over it quite a few times. And the mother didn't send him alone. She said, no, I'm going to come with you. Remember, she supported him throughout. So the mother of Imam Shaafi'i, she sold all her belongings, because now they need to travel. Remember, you couldn't go on the Haramain Express railway that they're making now, okay, from one place to the other. Okay, they had to go by animal or by foot, however they went. So she sold all her belongings so that they could travel and go to Medina and reside there. Also, the mother went to the governor of Makkah and asked that, could you write an official letter? Remember, Imam Shaafi is now well known in Makkah. So she goes to the governor, said, please write me an official letter. I want you to write a letter to the governor of Medina so that he can intercede to Imam Maalik to give my son a space in his madrasa. Okay, so this is like you're going through wasta, like a high official to interceding. You're getting these connections about who you know. So they got to know all these people, so they thought, let me put a word in. So they got the letter, and not only did she want the letter, but she wanted the governor to actually go and visit the governor there, and the governor to go to Imam Maalik with this letter. So now what happens is they traveled to Medina. When they got to Medina Munawwara, the governor of Medina got that letter, and he went to Imam Maalik. Now, what did we learn about Imam Maalik? What did we learn about? Did Imam Maalik tolerate any of this? Okay, he said what had to be said. He didn't look at who it was. Remember, he told Harun Rashid to shut up once. He was speaking in the Masjid. Let's be quiet. He was a Khalifa at the time, Amir al-Mu'mineen. It had to be said, so he said it. So when this governor came with the letter, and he said a lot of good things about Imam Shaafi'i, and he read it out, and he gave it to Imam Maalik to read. And he said other things as well. He also mentioned that he's a Sayyid. He's from the family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You know what Imam Maalik did? He looked at the letter and he crumbled it and he threw it away. He just crumbled it and he threw it away. And this was Imam Maalik. And he said, Subhanallah, knowledge through connections, hey? You want to learn knowledge through connections. This is what he said. He crumbled the letter. This is not how we learn. You want to come and learn, but you want to come through connections. No, you have to strive and you have to work hard. And he threw the letter away. The governor came out, looked at the mother Imam Shaafi and said, I've done everything I could do. There's no more I can do. They said, okay, we accept. Imam Shaafi decided himself, let me go in. Let me go into the house of Imam Maalik. Imam Shafi'i, he entered the house of Imam Maalik. Remember, Imam Maalik is very old now. Imam Maalik is not young. Imam Maalik is very old at this time. He enters and he said to Imam Maalik that I'm an orphan. My mother is a single parent. And at the age of 9, I memorized the whole of the Muwa'tta. And my name, you want to know, my name is Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi'i al-Qurayshi. I'm from the Quraysh. And Imam Maalik asked him that, okay, I'm going to test you. I'm going to ask you a question. Let me see. If you're able to answer this question, then maybe I'll think about taking you on. So because Imam Maalik, remember, again, he's a great scholar, so he could see with insight that this is a special person. He asked him, okay, why is it that, what's your passion for knowledge? You want to learn ilm? Are you really serious about it? How serious are you? So he said, I love learning ilm as much as like a mother who has lost her child. And she doesn't care about anything. Until she doesn't find her child, she doesn't care about anything. I'm just like the mother who's lost a child. I want to learn ilm. Nothing else interests me. Imam Maalik rahmatullah alayhi was very impressed with his answer. And he gave him some advice. He said, oh young boy, Muhammad ibn Idris, young boy, he said to him, fear Allah, number one. Then he said to him, refrain from sin. I can see that Allah will hopefully make you into a great person. Because I can see that Allah has placed nur, the nur of ilm and knowledge in your heart. And don't extinguish this nur with the disobedience of Allah. If you start committing sins, this gift Allah has given to you is going to go away. So this is the advice he gives to him. And he says, tomorrow, come to my lessons. Come to my lesson. Remember, he used to give lessons where? In Masjid Nabawi. Imam Shaafi has come from the haram, giving lectures in the haram, and now he's become a student. And he's very, very young. And now Imam Maalik says to him, come tomorrow, and I want you to sit in the front row. Don't sit at the back, I want you to sit in the front row. Imam Maalik was delivering his lesson the next day in the front row amongst the other great students. You now got this youngster now, Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi, is also sitting there. I remember he was very poor. He couldn't even afford ink. So everybody else is writing away. And Imam Shafi'i didn't have ink to write with. So whilst Imam Maalik is delivering the lessons, Imam Shafi'i, wherever there was a need to write something, he would take the saliva from his mouth and he would make, like he was like putting dots on the paper that he had with the saliva. And that's what he was using at that time. So Imam Maalik did notice this, but he didn't say anything then. At the end of the class, he called him and he said, what were you doing? Like, why weren't you writing? He said, I can't afford ink, I'm too poor. But why were you doing that? I was making a note. Wherever I needed to make a note, I was trying to sort of make a note. These are the ahadith and this is what I need to try and go over later on. So Imam Maalik said to him, well, how do you even know? How can you remember? Everybody else wrote everything down. He says, yeah, I've learnt everything. And he didn't believe him. He said, go and read. And the whole day's lesson he read from memory. And Imam Maalik was so impressed that he said to him that I have never seen such a great student in my life. I have never seen such a great student in my life. And he would say to him every day after class, I want you to come and I want you to read the Muwa'tta off by heart. So what would happen is at the end of class every day, Imam Shaafi would go and he would read the book of Imam Maalik off by heart. He would continue reading until Imam Maalik would say stop. And this became like a daily practice. Now things started to change. Remember, Imam Maalik took responsibility for the 6 years that Imam Shaafi studied under Imam Maalik. Imam Maalik actually took the full responsibility to cover all the costs of Imam Shaafi and his mother and his entire household for 6 years. We spoke about that last time, if you remember. Yeah? So he funded them. He gave like a scholarship. So the teacher's funding his own students for 6 years, he covered all the costs. So now Imam Shaafi started to dress in a certain way. Remember Imam Maalik? Remember how he used to dress? Okay? You had to wear a robe. You had to wear the turban. It also says that Imam Maalik never wore the same clothes twice. So this was Imam Maalik. And he believed that this is a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, it deserved respect. He didn't do it for himself. It was for the honor of what the job he was undertaking. He gave it so much respect that he should give it back what it deserves. So Imam Shaafi now started to dress with like a robe, and he had like a cloak over it, and he would tie the imamah as well. And he came home one day and the mum asked, "Now what did you learn? What have you learned? You've been away, what did you learn?" And he said, "Well, I've learned ilm and adab. I've learned ilm and adab." She says, "No, you've not learned anything. Go back. Go back. Go back and come back and tell me what you've learned." So he goes back and he tells Imam Maalik that, I went, and my mum asked me, "What did you learn?" So I told her I learned ilm and adab. And she's told me to go back. So Imam Maalik says, "No, when you go this time, tell her you learned adab and ilm." So he comes back and he says, the mum asks him, "What did you learn?" And he said, "I've learned adab and ilm." He says, "Yes, now you've learned." And if you remember Imam Maalik rahmatullah alayhi from his time, remember the person who studied by him, he said, "For 20 years I stayed with him. For 1 year I learned ilm. For 19 years I learned adab." Okay, it was all about adab in that time, respect and having regard for the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam Shaafi was a mummy's boy, without a doubt. And in his talks, he would quote his mum. He wouldn't be shy. He would actually give quotations saying, "My mum used to say this, my mum used to say this." One of the quotations of Imam Shaafi, once he was giving a lecture, and he said, "Oh, my mum used to say," and one of the quotes he said, "You should not trust a person whose words change between two Jumu'ahs." That was one of the quotations of the mother of Imam Shaafi, which he quoted in his lecture without any sort of feeling, not only on Mother's Day, he did it all the time. Anyway, so Imam Maalik, rahmatullah alayh, sponsored Imam Shaafi'i for the full 6 years. And there was a lot of things in common now between Imam Maalik and Imam Shaafi. Imam Maalik's really old, Imam Shaafi's really young, but they're becoming very, very close. And another special quality that was in both of them is they had this very special firasa. Firasa, we find in the hadith, "Ittaqu firasatul mu'min, فَإِنَّهُ يَنْظُرُ بِنُورِ اللَّهِ." Firasa is the deep insight Allah gives to the friends of Allah. That they can see things which normal people can't see. They can, sometimes you say this person can read through you. He looks at you and he can, he can tell what's going on. One day Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu was giving a lecture, and a person came and joined the gathering. And he looked at his eyes, and he could just tell by looking at him. He said, "What is it some people come to my gathering where I can see zina pouring from their eyes?" Well, this youngster who had come and just joined the gathering, maybe he used his eyes in the wrong way before he attended. And Imam Uthman ibn Affan could sense this. This is firasatul mu'min, the deep insight. Allah blessed Imam Maalik and Imam Shafi'i both with this firasa. Sometimes they would sit and they would see a person passing by. And just by looking at the person's face, they would both conclude that this person, he looks very worried because it seems he's got some financial difficulty, and they'd be able to provide a solution as well without talking to him. They'd look at another person and say, "This person just had an argument with his wife." Okay, they'd look at, it wasn't like neighborhood watch like we have nowadays, in our streets where people are always looking out from the window every time you come and go. No, not like that. It was with a good intention, in a good way. One day, so now they would always agree. They would always agree. It was like every time there was no disagreement. There was always agreement. One time what happened, a person passed by, Maalik and Shafi'i both looked at this person, and Imam Maalik said, "This person is a shepherd." And you couldn't tell by looking at me, we wouldn't be able to tell. But Imam Maalik said, "That person is a shepherd." Imam Shaafi said, "He's a carpenter." Now this was the first disagreement. And the students were quite shocked. Now Imam Shaafi, Imam Maalik, although they disagreed for the first time, it wasn't an uproar, like what's happening, it's the end of the world, Qiyamah's here, the two scholars have disagreed, oh no, what's going to happen now, let's close the mosque down, and it wasn't like that. Big deal, get on with it. Ikhtilaf is rahmah. There's nothing wrong with having a different opinion, as long as your hearts are together, you don't fight each other, you can have a different opinion. One of the students, Aswad, says, I was really curious. I thought, what's going on? Like, this has never happened before. So he goes, I went to that person and I went and asked him, what's your occupation? So the guy said, I used to be a shepherd, now I'm a carpenter. And there you go. This is the beauty of these scholars, okay? Even in the difference, there's rahmah, as you can see. He goes, I used to be a shepherd, now I'm a carpenter nowadays. So Imam Shaafi rahmatullah alayh, because he was young and he respected Imam Maalik, he was very shy to disagree with him in his presence. So in front of him, normally he wouldn't disagree. Although he did have his own opinions, he didn't always agree with Imam Maalik. He was a scholar in his own right, but in front of him, out of respect, it was seldom that he would actually oppose him and he would go against him. In his presence, he respected and honored him. Imam Maalik rahmatullah alayh, that's not the right time, is it? Imam Maalik rahmatullah alayh, once a person came to him with a mas'ala. Now Imam Shaafi is sitting there as well. So Imam Maalik is approached and the question is asked. The question is, it's regarding divorce, and the question was asked is that the guy comes and he goes, I think I've divorced my wife. And Imam Maalik, I said, what did you say? He said, one day I was sitting with my wife, it was a very nice evening, a romantic night, we're sitting in the moonlight, with a candle, anyway, okay, carried away. So I was sitting having this real nice chat with my wife, and all of a sudden, I don't know what happened to me, and I said, if you're not as beautiful as the moon, I divorce you. It's like a crazy thing to say, but he said it. So Imam Maalik straight away said to him, well, the moon is very beautiful. Of course, we know about the beauty of the moon. And without a doubt, that is a divorce. It will be a divorce. And yeah, that's it. That's the end of your case. Goodbye. And the guy starts walking off. Imam Shaafi was sitting there. He didn't say anything there in the presence of Imam Maalik because he respected him. But he walked out and he followed that man. He goes, tell me that mas'ala again. What was your question? He goes, yeah, I said to my wife, if you're not more beautiful than the moon, then you're divorced. So he says, shall I tell you something? You're not divorced. Because what do you mean? Imam Maalik just said I'm divorced. He goes, I can give you proof from the Quran that you're not divorced. He goes, give it to me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Tin wal-Zaytun, Allah says, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ, that we have created human as the best of creation. And the moon is a creation of Allah, the best of creation, the most beautiful, ahsan, the most beautiful is insan, therefore you are not divorced, go on, you can chill out with your wife. So what happens now, the guy comes back and he tells Imam Maalik rahmatullah alayh, and Imam Maalik rahmatullah alayh, he endorsed the fatwa of Imam Shaafi and said, yeah, that's right, I agree with you. I take my word back and I agree with you. Imam Shaafi stayed next to Imam Maalik, studied by him, learned with him for 6 years. 6 years, until the death of Imam Maalik. Imam Maalik rahmatullah passed away in 179 Hijri, when Imam Shaafi was only 29 years old. So he's still very, very young. Now Imam Shaafi was known for many things. One of the things he was known for was his qiyam and his qira'ah. His qiyam and his qira'ah. He would complete the recitation of one Quran a day throughout the year. One Quran a day. By Maghrib time, he'd done like 17, 18 juz already. 17, 18 juz he had recited already. Come Ramadan, he would complete 2 Quran recitations daily in Ramadan. And one of the times Imam Maalik, he was walking on the road, and by mistake he saw the leg of a woman. And this really got to him. And he felt the effect of it. We were not particular about. We go out of our way to see these things. This was a mistake which was made. He saw the leg of a woman by mistake. It affected him so much, he felt it instantly, that he went to one of his teachers. One of his teachers is known as Waqi'. Waqi' ibn al-Jarrah is one of the great teachers of Imam Shaafi. And he complained to him, شَكَوْتُ إِلَى وَقِيعٍ سُوءَ حِفْظِي فَأَوْصَانِي إِلَى تَرْكِ الْمَعَاصِي فَإِنَّ الْعِلْمَ نُورٌ مِّنْ إِلَهِ وَنُورُ اللَّهِ لَا يُعْطِي لِعَاصِي. And this is the famous poem of Waqi' ibn al-Jarrah, narrated by Imam Shaafi'i. This is where this comes from. So he says, شَكَوْتُ إِلَى وَقِيعٍ سُوءَ حِفْظِي. I complained to my ustad, my teacher, Waqi' ibn al-Jarrah, regarding my memory. I could feel that just by that one sin I had committed, I could feel that my memory wasn't as good anymore. Instantly, I saw the effect of that sin. So I went and complained to my teacher, Waqi' ibn al-Jarrah, like, tell me, what shall I do? I've committed the sin. I looked at something I wasn't supposed to. And he advised me, إِلَى تَرْكِ الْمَعَاصِي. stop committing sins. Do not go anywhere near committing sins, whether it be sins of the eyes or the ears or the tongue or any kind of sin. Why? فَإِنَّ الْعِلْمَ نُورٌ مِّنْ إِلَهِ. Because ilm is nur, it's a light from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَنُورُ اللَّهِ لَا يُعْطِي لِعَاصِي. And the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not given to a sinful person. If you're sinful, the nur of Allah won't come into your heart. Another thing Imam Shaafi didn't like doing was, he didn't like raising his voice in arguing. He didn't believe in arguing and debating. You know, you got people nowadays just want to have debates with people. They want to have these kind of debates, whether it be on YouTube or wherever it is. He didn't believe in any of that. And because of this, because he excelled, there was a lot of people who were jealous of Imam Shaafi rahmatullah alayhi. Because from a very young age, you can see how far he has reached. And he would say that by debating people, you're really humiliating the knowledge. So you shouldn't really debate. He didn't allow anyone to speak ill of anybody else, even his enemies. So he didn't allow if any of his students would speak ill of his enemies. The people who opposed Imam al-Shafi'i, even those he would say, no, I don't allow it. Don't say anything about anybody in my presence. You shouldn't. He says, you purify your ears. Purify your ears, don't even listen to anything, don't say anything. And he would say that if somebody's speaking about somebody else, even if it's my enemy, even if you go and listen, I believe you're a partner in the evil. Because you listen to it. You've also done backbiting. They spoke it, you listen to it. Keep your ears clean as well. And this was the belief of Imam Shaafi'i, rahmatullah alayh. If ever it happened that somebody came to debate with him, before the debate he would make dua, oh Allah, put the truth on his tongue. But he would always win. Whenever there was a discussion, in the end Imam Shaafi would always win, but in the heart, his desire, he would always pray that, oh Allah, I don't want to make somebody lose. This was his kind of view. So Allah put the truth on his tongue, but he never lost. Also, he would say that people should narrate from me, but never mention my name. Like, don't ascribe anything. Don't say this was the sayings of Imam Shaafi'i. You don't need to do that. I don't mind. You can narrate from me without mentioning that you heard it from me. Once Imam Shaafi'i was in the Masjid and he was lecturing. And a man came in the gathering amidst thousands of people. And whilst the lecture is going on, this man stands up and he addresses him and says, are you a Shafi'i? You're Shafi'i? The Shafi'i that everybody talks about? Are you a Shafi'i? He said, yes, I am a Shafi'i. So he said, you're not a Shafi'i, you're the Fasiq and you're the Fajr. You're the most sinful person and the most evil person the world has seen. Imam Shafi'i was very tolerant. He didn't say anything. He just said, oh Allah, if he is truthful, then forgive me. And if he's not truthful, then Allah forgive him. This was his response. Oh Allah, if he's truthful, I am the most sinful person, forgive me. And if he's not truthful, then Allah, you forgive him. Once there was a person called Abu Musa who came to debate with Imam Shafi'i. So he had this discussion on this altercation with Imam Shafi'i, and then the person obviously he stormed off because he lost. And he didn't make salam, he just walked off. Enough of you. And he walked off. Imam Shafi'i ran behind him. He went to his house and he said, can't we be brothers? Can't we still be brothers just because we differ on one issue? We only differ on one issue. What about everything else that we have the same opinion on? Just because we differ on one issue, and it's sad really, I mean your neighbor does Eid on a different day to you, big deal. Somebody prays their salah early, you pray late. Somebody keeps their roza on the other timetable, you keep it on one timetable. What, is that a reason to fight? Is that a reason? Somebody puts their hands here, somebody puts them there, somebody says Ameen loud, somebody says it quietly. Is that a reason to become enemies? Can we use the deen of Allah to create enmity within us? Is that a reason to fall out with somebody? That's very petty. So Imam Shaafi ran behind him and he said, you can make salam to me. Can't we be brothers even just because we differ on one mas'ala, one ruling, you have one opinion, so what? We can see beyond that. Let's put a difference. It's not even differences, it's one difference. And it's sad that today we have these small, tiny differences, with whoever it is. And because of that, we will never talk to somebody or we'll never acknowledge them anymore. And we'll just think of them like what about all the good that's in their life? Is that it? You just discount everything because of one difference? So he says, can't we be brothers? just because we disagree on one issue, now you always got people who opposed, there were certain fanatics. There were some fanatics who were fanatics meaning in the Maliki fanatics. They used to think and consider Imam Shaafi obviously Imam Shaafi was an Imam in himself. So although he studied by Imam Maalik, he would he gave the Madhab of Imam Maalik a lot of strength as well. He spread the Madhab. And in those places where the Madhab of Imam Maalik died out, he sort of revitalized it again. However, there were certain people who were fanatics, and wherever you get fanatics, and these crazy people, who've got no leg to stand on, they're just crazy. They just do things, they don't even think what they're doing, and then it causes everybody else harm. So there was one such fanatic, and he was in Masjid Nabawi, and in sajda he was making dua. You know what dua he was making? He was cursing Imam Shaafi in his sajda, and he would do it regularly. He would say, Allahumma amit al-Shafi'i, Allahumma amit al-Shafi'i, oh Allah, give death to Shafi'i. Allah give death to Shah, hatta la yadhhab ilmu Malik, so that the madhab of Imam Malik shouldn't die down. You know, we want to, like, everyone should be Malikis. Okay, what's this Shafi'i business? So we don't want the Maliki madhab and the teachings of Imam Maliki to die down. So he was saying this, and Imam Shafi'i rahmatullah alayh, you know, when he heard about this, he replied to this by saying, people wish that I die. People wish that I die. And the man who's making this dua, he should know that one day he's going to die as well. And he should also know that the same destiny he's wishing for me, if it's not true, it's going to go back to him. Because if you curse somebody, and if it's not a valid curse, that curse comes back to you. So Malik would say, he was feeling sorry for the guy. Instead of cursing him back, like if we found out somebody saying that about us, or our sheikh, or our teacher, we'd go crazy. Okay? He was feeling sorry for the guy, saying, does he not know the poor guy? Like he's saying this about me, and it's going to go back to him. So he shouldn't say this. Imam Shaafi really defended the madhab of Imam Maalik wherever he went. To the extent he would argue. He would argue to re-establish the Maliki madhab in places. When he went to Iraq, in Iraq he re-established the Maliki madhab. Wherever he went, he continued doing this. And he would say one thing to these people. Sometimes people would, in public gatherings, they would just stand up and saying things about him. And he would say, look, if you want to advise me in private. If you want to advise me in private. Why? Okay, in front of people, you're saying things to me. You know that people have got eyes and ears as well. You've done wrong things. Okay? You're saying things about me. Okay? People have got eyes, people have got tongues, people have got ears. So if you're going to do this to me, someone's going to do this to you as well. So I'd rather you want to speak to me, you want to advise me, by all means, but make sure you do it in private. Sometime during the lesson, Imam Maalik was very serious. Imam Shafi'i was not really serious. So sometimes he would joke, he would have some riddles whilst he was teaching as well. Once whilst he was teaching, one of the students, he asked a question that, oh Imam Shafi'i, how is Iblis going to burn in the fire of hell? Because Iblis is a jinn and he's made of fire. So how is he going to burn? Imam Shaafi picked up a piece of clay and threw it on his head. And he goes, ouch, why did you do that? He goes, did it hurt you? He goes, yes, it did. He goes, what was it? It was clay. He goes, you're made out of clay as well. Did it hurt you? He goes, yes, it did. He goes, there's your answer there. Okay? You're saying, how is Iblis going to burn in the fire? And he's made out of fire. Well, there you go. You're made out of clay. I threw clay on you. I'm not explaining to you guys. That's sad. Anyway. So for those of you who got it, well and good. For those of you who didn't, you need to catch up on some rest tonight. He was very, very charitable. Imam Shaafi'i rahmatullah alayhi, he travelled extensively. Imam Maalik did not travel. He stayed in Medina Munawwara. Imam Shaafi'i travelled extensively to the Muslim land. So he was born in Palestine, then he travelled to Makkah al-Mukarramah, and then he went to Medina. After this, he went to Najran. Najran is on the border of Saudi and Yemen. And he stayed there. He was actually appointed as a judge of Najran. And he was paid for it as being the judge. And that was his source of income. He got invited by the governor at the time to be the judge there. And when the governor actually invited him and appointed him as the judge, Imam Shaafi'i, again following from Imam Maalik, told him that he was going to get like a state pay for this because he's doing a state job. But he told him very clearly. He said, listen, governor, you're making me the judge, right? You're going to pay me for it, okay? I accept. I'm not doing any favors. I'm not going to do you can't make me a judge just so that I favor you. No. So he goes, first of all, I'm not going to favor you. Number two, I'm not going to unjustly support you. When it comes to it, I'm going to say what's fair. I'm not going to support your campaign just because you're paying me to be a judge. And number three, if any of your family do anything wrong, I'm going to get them arrested. Okay, so don't come running after me and saying, oh, we're paying you for this. So, no. I'm making it very clear from now. Now, moving on from here. This Imam is now becoming very, very popular. Wherever you go, it's all about Shafi'i. It's all about Shafi'i. And he was amazing. Now, the oldest trick in the book, which was used then, which is being used today, and will be continued to be used, is if you can't point a finger to anybody, you don't like somebody, you want to pull them down, you want to destroy them, but you can't really, there's no official way of doing it. You know the easiest way, and the oldest trick in the book is, accuse them of belonging to a particular group. Just say that he's from so-and-so group. Easy. It's the easiest thing. Nowadays it's happening. It's happening in front of our eyes. Straight away. You want to discredit somebody, just say they belong to so-and-so group. That's it. Discredit it. Straight away. Even though they have nothing to do with it. Just say this person is a member of this group. X, Y, and Z. That's it. You've discredited. And that happened. It's always happened. If we study history, okay, the happenings of today, they won't seem new to us. We'll see that things like this happened before as well. So, Imam Shaafi'i, this happened with Imam Bukhari. Imam Bukhari was discredited like this as well. What could you say about the great Imam Bukhari? You couldn't say anything to him. You couldn't say anything about him. So the people discredited him by saying that he belongs to a certain group. And the same thing happened with Imam Shaafi'i. So in the year 184, the governor, he wrote to Harun Rashid. Now Harun Rashid was the Amir al-Mu'mineen, the Khalifa at the time. And there were a group of Shia. Now Harun Rashid was from the Banu al-Abbas, the Abbasids. And the people, the Shia were always against these people. So now there were a group of Shia, about 8 of them, who were actually planning an attack against Harun Rashid. They were already planning. That was already in the process, and there were some rumors about this. So the people who were against Imam Shaafi'i thought this is a good idea. Why don't we blame him and say, so they wrote a letter to the governor, and they said that Imam Shaafi'i is also from this party. He's a Shia, and whereas he had nothing to do with them. So just blame him. Just put it, any label you give to somebody now, and straight away discredit it. He's a Shia, and he's planning to attack you. Harun Rashid had already sent an arrest warrant for these 8 Shia who were actually coming to attack Harun al-Rashid. So they were shackled. And then he sent a message that Imam Shaafi should also be shackled. So he was shackled, he was beaten, he was shackled in chains. Now, Imam Shaafi was from the Ahlul Bayt. He loved the Ahlul Bayt. And he has got so many poems for the Ahlul Bayt. And he never met Harun Rashid. Why? Because Harun Rashid was in Iraq. Imam Shaafi is over here, on this side of the world. So what happens is Imam Shaafi'i is in chains. And in chains he arrives in the court of Harun Rashid, alongside the other Shia members as well. When he arrives in the court of Harun Rashid, shackled in chains, so there was some other great scholar sitting there also at that time. There's a great scholar who was sitting in the court of Harun Rashid. Can anybody tell me who that could possibly be? Not Imam Ahmed. Imam Muhammad. Who was Imam Muhammad? The great student of Imam Abu Hanifa. Okay, and also the student of Imam Maalik. Imam Muhammad Ibn Hasan al-Shaybani. Those of you who are Hanafis, you should know that the Hanafi school isn't only based on Imam Abu Hanifa. The Hanafi school is mainly based on 3 Imams. Abu Hanifa, Imam Muhammad, Imam Abu Yusuf. This makes the Hanafi school. So not all of our teachings we take from Imam Abu Hanifa. Some of them we take from Imam Muhammad, some from Imam Abu Yusuf, and this makes the Hanafi school of fiqh. So Imam Muhammad is the one who actually wrote all the books regarding the fiqh of Abu Hanifa, and that's how it spread. Okay? And we said that Imam Abu Hanifa sent Imam Muhammad to study by Imam Maalik for so many years. We said this. When Imam Muhammad was sitting in the court of Harun Rashid, and he saw the great Imam Shaafi coming, chains and shackled. He was shocked. He said, what are you doing here? This is a great Imam, what have you done to him? So Imam Shaafi'i and Imam Muhammad at that time was a judge. Under the governorship of Harun Rashid, Imam Muhammad was made a judge there. So Imam Shaafi'i, he started to mention all his links. How he's linked, he's from the Ahlul Bayt, and so was Harun Rashid from the Ahlul Bayt, and how he's linked, and how he loved the Ahlul Bayt. And Imam Muhammad started telling Harun Rashid about Imam Shaafi'i, that this is a great Imam, he's a great scholar, and what have they done to him? Don't punish him. There is no way he could be amongst the Shia. There is no way whatsoever. He would never attack you. Anyhow, Harun Rashid became so impressed with him that he said, why don't you join Imam Muhammad? Both of you are now governors. So now Imam Shaafi'i and Imam Muhammad, a great Imam of the Hanafi fiqh, and Imam Shaafi'i now, can you see all the links now? Okay, so how he was linked to Imam Maalik, okay, and now he's linked to Imam Muhammad. Imam Muhammad is very senior. Imam Muhammad is a great scholar. That's why we also have a Muwa'tta of Imam Muhammad as well. Muwa'tta of Imam Muhammad. So, he is now exposed. Until now, he wasn't really exposed to Hanafi fiqh. Okay, now Imam Shafi'i is exposed to Hanafi fiqh. Why? Because he's now staying with Imam Muhammad. So he stayed in the house of Imam Muhammad for 3 years. For 3 years he stayed in the house of Imam Muhammad and he studied by him extensively. The Harun Rashid sent Imam Shafi 50,000 dinar, gold coins. And he said, go and buy yourself a house and settle down. And by the evening time, he had spent every single one in charity. He had given it all away. And the guard came back to Harun Rashid and said, this is what he's done. Harun Rashid said, this reminds me of Imam Maalik. I think he follows the teaching of Imam Maalik. Imam Maalik didn't used to really think much of the governance. So why don't we do this? Fine, I've not given it to him. Why don't I give it to you as being the guard? You give it from you and say it's from you. So the guard brings another 50,000 dinar to Imam Shafi'i. And Imam Shafi'i says, what do you want? He says, I've come to give this as a gift. He says, I didn't take it from Amir al-Mu'minin. You think I'm going to take it from you? Take it back, I don't want it. And he established his personal dignity. Imam Shafi'i lived in the house of Imam Muhammad for how many years? For 3 years. They studied with each other, but they would debate a lot as well. And they would travel a lot, and throughout the whole journey they'd be debating. Okay, so he'd say his opinion, he'd say his opinion. There was a lot of love there, but they would debate continuously. He defended the madhab of Imam Maalik, and in public sometimes they would be debating and everybody would gather around. And everyone's listening to this amazing debate that's happening between Imam Shafi'i and Imam Muhammad ibn Hassan. Remember, Imam Shafi'i is mostly at this time speaking more of the madhab of Imam Maalik, mostly. Anyway, when he left from here, when he left Imam Muhammad after 3 years, he said to somebody, can you see this camel? There was a camel which was loaded with books. He says, this is all the knowledge I've gained from Imam Muhammad in these 3 years. All the knowledge I've gained from the Hanafi school of thought, Imam Muhammad, in these 3 years. He says, when I spent time with Imam Muhammad, that's when I realized how great Imam Abu Hanifa was. Before that, I had heard so many things about Imam Abu Hanifa that you guys probably hear on YouTube, and people on the streets tell you so many things. People fill your ears with all sorts of things. And it's so easy to start believing it. Like people say Imam Abu Hanifa only means 17 hadith. I say, yeah, that sounds good. Let's start saying it to everybody. Okay? Because it's only when you sit with these people and you see. So he says, I realized how great Imam Abu Hanifa was. Now, once in Baghdad, now this is very interesting. Once Imam Shafi'i was in Baghdad, throughout that period, Imam Shafi'i led the Salah according to the Hanafi madhab. Being a Shafi'i himself, once he was in Baghdad, out of respect of Imam Abu Hanifa and the madhab of Imam Abu Hanifa, he left his own teachings and he led the Salah according to the Hanafi madhab, because he was in a Hanafi area. So, can you see the understanding, the love these people had? They weren't at odds. And in the year 186, at the age of 36 years old, he comes back to Makkah. And at that time, he was known as the most famous scholar in the world. People from all over now would come to Makkah to study by Imam Shaafi'i. And from amongst these great people who came, one of them was Imam Ahmed Ibn Hanbal rahmatullah alayh. Imam Ahmed Ibn Hanbal rahmatullahi himself says, I studied the Muwa'tta of Imam Maalik by 17 different scholars. Because it's only when I studied it by Imam Shaafi that I was satisfied and I understood it properly. And he had this circle, Imam Shaafi had his circle in the Haram by the Kaaba for 9 years. For 9 years he carried on teaching. At the age of 45 in the year 195, he went back to Baghdad for 4 years. And at that time Harun Rashid had passed away. Harun Rashid was a very good Khalifa. He passed away. His son Amin became the Khalifa. 198 Hijri, then we have Al-Mamun. Okay, Mamun is like the dodgy one. So when Mamun comes into power, he came up with this bizarre idea. And one of the most bizarre ideas is a group, he started a group. He didn't start it, but he supported it. And they were known as the Mu'tazila. The Mu'tazila, you must have heard the Mu'tazila. The Mu'tazila, who were they? I'll just tell you some of their beliefs. Even today you find some people who carry the ideology of the Mu'tazila. They might not be exactly known as Mu'tazila, but they carry some of the ideologies. For example, one of the beliefs of the Mu'tazila is Allah doesn't know the future. Allah doesn't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Allah knows today, but He doesn't know what's going to happen with you tomorrow. That's one of the Mu'tazila beliefs. Another belief of the Mu'tazila is they say the Quran is a creation of Allah. We believe the Quran is not a creation, it's the word of Allah. It's Allah's word, Allah's kalam. It's part of Allah. He didn't create it. It's His word. Yeah, the book that we have in front of us, the book itself, yes, that's creation. We know it's paper. Okay? But the actual Quran is a kalam of Allah, and it's one of the beliefs of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. We believe that the Quran is not a creation. A person who believes that Quran is a creation becomes a kafir. He loses his iman. So the Quran is the kalam, it's the word of Allah. So that was another belief. And the third belief is, they used to say anybody who commits a major sin becomes a kafir. So you commit a major sin and you become a kafir. And these are some of the beliefs that these heretics and these Khawarij, this ISIS type mentality people had. You know, I mentioned in Jum'ah that, somebody came to Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu and asked the question. He came from Iraq, okay, these Baghdadi people. And he came and he asked the question. And the question he asked was, what's the ruling of killing a fly? And he turned around to him and said, you're asking me the mas'ala of killing a fly, and it didn't even cross your mind when you killed the grandson of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then you didn't think about killing them, and you're asking about the flies. And then we find these people, they're so particular about the tajweed of the Quran, okay, that every letter must be correct. But when it comes to killing people, then they forget the religion. May Allah protect us from such evil. So these were the Mu'tazila. And Ma'mun al-Rashid, he believed these Mu'tazila beliefs to the extent that, on every masjid, on the door of the masjid, he got it written in big plaques, and he got it written that Kalamullahi makhluq. That the word of Allah, the Quran is makhluk, it's a creation. And he wanted to spread this ideology throughout everywhere. Between 195 and 198, Imam Shaafi, Imam Ahmed actually dedicated his life, those few years, to Imam Shaafi. And the first book written by Imam Shaafi, Abdul Rahman ibn Mahdi, who was a great hadith scholar, he asked Imam Shaafi, why don't you write a book on legal theory? Write a book on the usul of fiqh. The usul of fiqh. We want you to write the principles, the legal theory. Now Imam Shaafi, he was very privileged because he took hadith from Imam Maalik, and he took the fiqh from the Hanafi school from Imam Muhammad, and he combined this together. And he wrote his first book, which is known as the Al-Risala. Al-Risala, I reviewed it 400 times. Al-Risala is this was used throughout the world for legal theory. It was used and many people benefited from this book. And the madhab of Imam Al-Shafi'i, we could say, even though a lot of us don't follow the madhab of Imam Al-Shafi'i, Shah Waliullah Muhaddith al-Dhahabi rahmatullah alayhi said, by far it's the most organized and balanced madhab, the Shafi'i school of thought, because Imam Shafi'i wrote his madhab himself. The other Imams didn't write their madhab, their followers did. Okay, but Imam Shafi'i wrote all his principles himself. So it's very organized, very balanced, and it's got this flow to it. So this is by Shah Waliullah Muhaddith al-Dhahabi rahmatullah alayhi. He was also a scholar in tafsir, and he would have sessions in tafsir. The people who attended his lessons would say that every time he read a certain verse, the next time we would always learn something new from Imam Shaafi'i and his tafsir. Ma'mun, like I told you, he introduced all these different ideas. Imam Shaafi'i, at the age of 49, he had his book Al-Risala. Another book he had was Al-Hujjah as well. He started to see the fitna growing. You know, we spoke about the fitna that happened in the time of Imam Maalik, and his shoulders were dislocated because he spoke up and he took part in politics. Throughout his life he didn't, but towards the end he did. So same thing happens here now. Imam Shaafi'i, he saw that this fitna of the Mu'tazila is growing, and he didn't want to be part of it. So what he decided was, he decided to leave. I'm getting out of here before it goes out of hand and they try and get me involved as well, because the easiest way to get someone involved is give them a position. Give them a position, make him a governor, make him give him some responsibility, and then you can sort of talk him into it. So he thought, before they do any of that, let me go. So he moved to Egypt. In Imam Shaafi'i, because he was offered to be a qadi in Iraq, but he refused it. And he knew that Imam Ahmed Ibn Hanbal is more than capable of taking care of Iraq. So he saw that Imam Ahmed is now, is capable. So he left Imam Ahmed in Iraq. You deal with the people of Iraq now, I'm going, and he traveled to Egypt. So in the year 199, Mahmud al-Rashid again, he inscripted on all of the masjids in Iraq, Kalamullahi makhluq, that the word of Allah is a creation, and this was a great fitna in itself. Imam Shaafi'i knew that the people in Egypt were supportive of him, he'll be safe, and they welcomed him. Now there's something interesting. For those who are Shafi'i, you will know that you get the old madhab of Imam Shafi'i and you get the new madhab of Imam Shafi'i. Before Imam Shafi'i went to Egypt, he had a certain view. When he went to Egypt, he changed a lot of his views. So you get a lot of opinions of Imam Shafi'i. You get Imam Shafi'i used to say this, afterwards he started saying this. When he went to Egypt, he went with 80 different fatwas. After arriving in Egypt, he only kept 16 of those fatwas. The rest of them he changed. Why? Because he saw the people of Egypt and he got more exposure to the rest of the fiqh as well. Inshallah, after the salah, we will conclude and carry on and speak about the ending of the life of Imam Shafi'i rahmatullah alayhi. It's time for adhan now. Brother requested to please sit in the sufu. After the salah, we will continue. Everybody is requested to please take part. Jazakumullah khair. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد. I will continue. If you remember from last session, the session in which we spoke about Imam Maalik rahmatullah alayhi, we spoke about a very great scholar. Let me see who's remembered the name. He was a great scholar. We even said that he was greater of a scholar than Imam Maalik, but because Imam Maalik became famous and this scholar didn't, we don't really know about him. But really, he was a very great scholar. Anybody remember? He's asking me what's his name. That's what I'm asking you. That's exactly what I'm asking you. What was his name? And I don't blame you for not remembering because we don't really hear this name. But we mentioned it last time when we said he was a very, very great scholar. And some say that he was greater of a scholar than Imam Maalik. However, Imam Maalik had students, and Imam Maalik had many, many students, and they spread his madhab, whereas this scholar was an imam himself. His name was Layth ibn Sa'ad. He's saying, yeah, I remember. Layth ibn Sa'ad. Okay, Layth ibn Sa'ad. Now, Layth ibn Sa'ad was based in Egypt, and he has based, obviously, his madhab like Imam Maalik, and he passed away in the year 175. So Layth ibn Sa'ad passes away in the year 175. Imam Shafi'i, he sets up to go to Egypt in which year? 199. So did he see Layth ibn Sa'ad? He didn't. But he really, really wanted to meet him. He really wanted to meet Layth ibn Sa'ad because Layth ibn Sa'ad was a great scholar. Unfortunately, he didn't see him, but he saw the students of Layth ibn Sa'ad, and he was exposed to the madhab of Layth ibn Sa'ad. Remember, Layth ibn Sa'ad was an imam himself. Now we have 4 imams. Before there were like loads of imams. But then their madhab didn't sort of formulate, it didn't carry on. So Layth ibn Sa'ad had his own madhab, he had his own followers, and he was a great scholar. So he didn't see him, he went to his grave, went to the grave of Layth ibn Sa'ad, he made dua for Layth ibn Sa'ad. No. Now, when he went to Egypt, it's a sunnah practice that if you travel somewhere, to go and stay and live with your maternal relatives. It's something we find from the seerah. So Imam Shaafi, he found his maternal relatives that were in Egypt, and he decided to stay with them, following the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And it's like automatically, the Masjid of Amr ibn al-As in Egypt, like the first main masjid in that part of the world, was the Masjid of Amr ibn al-As, was the great Sahabi, who was a conqueror of Egypt as well, those of you who know Islamic history. Layth ibn Sa'd was a scholar there, the scholar who was teaching hadith. It happened so smoothly that when Imam Shaafi arrived in Egypt, he automatically took on the position of Layth ibn Sa'd. So Layth ibn Sa'd passed away, Imam Shaafi arrives, and Imam Shaafi now takes over. Imam Shaafi, reaching now in Egypt, he wrote his new book, a very famous book of his. So in the beginning he had the Risala and al-Hujjah. His main book he writes when he comes to Egypt is Kitab al-Umm. Kitab al-Umm means the mother. So Kitab al-Umm. Kitab al-Umm is basically the fatwas and the madhab of Imam Shaafi'i rahmatullah alayh. And when he comes to Egypt, he meets one of his most favorite teachers. And the interesting thing here is, one of his most favorite teachers is not even a male, it's a female. And she was a woman called Nafisa bint al-Hasan. And she was a daughter-in-law of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq. Not the Ja'far al-Sadiq that's been hijacked by the Rafidis, okay? Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq was a very great, noble Sunni scholar from the family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So she was the daughter-in-law of, and she was a granddaughter of Hassan ibn Ali, radiyallahu ta'ala anhum. So this was a very, very noble woman who became one of the teachers of Imam al-Shafi'i rahmatullah alayh. She was born in Makkah al-Mukarramah. She was a master in hadith, she was a master in fiqh, and she was a great abida. She was an ascetic, she worshipped Allah, and she was known for her worship. Very charitable, she spent on those with special needs. Again, it's an area which unfortunately is neglected. So this is something that she did. She went out of her way, broke the norm. People spend on people that are poor. People support those people who need food and drink. But, having this concern for those with special needs and disabilities, this is also a very noble act which was carried out. And she performed 30 Hajj. So this was one of the female scholars of Imam al-Shafi'i from whom he benefited immensely, Nafisa bint al-Hasan. So, and he actually revised his book, Kitab al-Umm and al-Risala, he revised it with her and asked her to do a review on it, check it, see where I've gone wrong. So he studied by the scholars of Makkah, he studied by the scholars of Medina, the scholars of Najran, the scholars of Iraq, and also the scholars of Misr and Egypt as well. But we have to say without a doubt, his greatest student was Imam Ahmed Ibn Hanbal, and we'll be doing a whole session inshallah on Imam Ahmed Ibn Hanbal, which is very interesting, inshallah, at the end of April. Now, Abdullah ibn Ahmed, who's the son of Imam Ahmed ibn Hanbal, he always used to say that my father always made dua for Shafi'i. Always. Whenever he lifted his hands, you would hear him making dua for Shafi'i. So one day I asked, why is it you're always making dua for him? Every time you make dua, I hear you mentioning his name. He says, Shafi'i was for the earth like the sun is for the earth. Shafi'i was for the earth like the sun is for the earth. Without the sun, the earth cannot survive. And then you would say, Shafi'i is for people like health is for people. A person who becomes sick, he becomes useless. Because just as health is important to every human, Shafi'i was important for mankind. We needed him. Without him, he was a great thing the Ummah needed. This is why I always make dua for him. Another of the great students of Imam al-Shafi'i is Imam al-Muzani. Imam al-Muzani, he was very knowledgeable in the beginning. He used to challenge Shafi'i a lot because he was knowledgeable himself. So he challenged him on a lot of things before he actually became his student. And he didn't agree with a lot of the things Imam Shaafi had to say, but Imam Shaafi was able to convince him after a lot of discussion, and he became one of his students as well. Another surprising thing is, majority of the students of Imam Shaafi were all older than him. They were all senior to him, most of them, because he started from such a young age. So most of his students and followers were all elderly people who were much more older than him. When he came from Iraq, he brought two people with him from Iraq to Egypt, Rabi ibn Sulaiman and Imam Humaydi. These are great Shafi'i scholars who came with him to Iraq. And Imam Shafi'i rahmatullah alayh, he authored 100 books altogether. So Al-Risala, Kitab al-Umm are just one or two of them, but altogether he wrote 100 books, and he would debate with the students of Imam al-Awza'i, he would debate with the students of Sufyan al-Thawri, he would debate with the students of Imam Abu Hanifa, and he debated with the students of Imam Maalik. This was Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah. Like we said earlier, there were certain groups of fanatics who had a lot of issues with Imam al-Shafi'i. They couldn't see him prospering, so why is he sort of taking the glory? We had Imam Maalik, we had Imam Abu Hanifa, we're followers of them, why does he have to come? Whereas he was just doing what he believed in was correct. He wasn't opposing them, for no reason. He had strong evidences, he had proofs, and in his view, he was correct. So the followers of Imam Maalik, now remember, Imam Shaafi was a student of Imam Maalik for 6 years, and he promoted the madhab of Imam Maalik for so many years. Now the fanatic followers of Imam Maalik used to call Imam Shaafi a sellout. That you're a Maliki, you're a sellout. You're a sellout for the Malikis, you've let us down. You are like a strong, hardcore Malik, what's happened to you? You've gone somewhere else now, and you're taking people away from the Maliki madhab, and you've got this own madhab of yours. So they would oppose him, and he did istikhara for 1 year, because he wanted to write a book. And this book he wanted to write on the reason why he's opposed Imam Maalik. It wasn't a refutation. Like today we have refutation. You go on YouTube, so-and-so exposed. Another one, so-and-so exposed. Okay, and people buzz off these kind of things. Okay, he wasn't exposing Imam Maalik. It wasn't a refutation. It wasn't a rad. Okay, you have like nowadays people write a rad, a refutation of so-and-so. It wasn't a refutation. In the first half of the book, he praised Imam Maalik. He was full of his praises. He was full of the virtues of Imam Maalik. And in the second half, he actually wrote his difference of opinion. Why I have differed with Imam Maalik. These are the reasons, and it's very clear there. However, the people of fitna, fitna is such a dangerous thing. Ramadan is around the corner, right? And for some reason, Ramadan is supposed to be a month of mercy. We all start getting excited just before, 15 Shaban is the time when everyone comes together, we hug each other, we kiss each other, we say, forgive me, please. And a few days go by, and we start having that Ramadan flavor inside us. And that's the only time in the year where you and me pick up the timetable and we see, right, 2 times, right, this time is this one's this. Why? Throughout the year, nobody thinks about these things. And when Ramadan comes, when we're supposed to be united, we're supposed to be together, this is the only thing, and some of us, we spend our whole Ramadan fighting, arguing, debating about this. Is this what Ramadan is about? And because of this, we lose the whole spirit of Ramadan. These were great, great scholars. We're not even scholars. These are scholarly things, scholarly debates. Leave it to the scholars. Let them discuss it. And let people follow what they're following. At the end of the day, we're relying on scholars, and the scholars will be responsible. And the individuals, well, it's your individual responsibility to do your own research. In terms of research, well, you're not a scholar, so you can't do research yourself. So you will ask a scholar. Those people who are following a particular timetable, okay, that timetable is endorsed by a group of scholars. Those who are following another timetable, it is also endorsed by a group of scholars. So at the end of the day, what's the issue? Why do you and me need to get involved in between? And let people enjoy the month of Ramadan. Let them do their ibadah and worship. Somebody wants to close their fast early, subhanallah. Somebody wants to do it late, subhanallah. To be honest, I wasn't even planning to say this, but because this has come up, we've just had the brutal killings in Westminster, and then killings throughout the world, unfortunately. Of course we know, we don't need to say it's not in the name of Islam, because we know that already. Islam is a religion of peace, and we don't believe in any of this. And as our Prime Minister said it very, very clearly a few months ago as well, that this is not in the name of Islam. This is not Islamic. This is not something that Muslims believe in, and she said very clearly, this is not Islamic. Muslims don't believe in this. So we know that, and they know that, and the whole world knows that. But remember one thing, killing is bad. Yeah, we all agree to that, don't we? Yeah. Islam has prohibited killing. It's bad, it's wrong on all levels, and there's no justification to it whatsoever. But the Quran tells us something worse than killing. Quran tells us killing is bad, yes. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said, if somebody kills somebody, you kill one person, it's like you've killed the whole of mankind. And you save one person's life, You know, the emergency services, we saw how quickly they reacted. Okay, and they're there to protect you, they're there to protect me, they're there to protect the country. And we make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes this a great country. May Allah protect all the citizens of this country. May Allah grant us barakah. May Allah give us barakah in our economy, in our sustenance, in our this, and make life for all the citizens of this country easy. Okay, these are great people. Why? Because they are saving a life. Allah says, if you save one person's life, it's as if you saved the whole of mankind. It's like you kill one person, it's like killing the whole of mankind. You save one life, it's like saving the whole of mankind. So it's a great duty that they are carrying out. But what I want to mention is, we all look down on killing collectively. But Quran tells us there's something worse than killing. And that is, وَالْفِتْنَةُ أَشَدُّ مِنَ الْقَتْلِ. Allah says, fitna, this is worse than killing. Fitna. Causing mischief, causing trouble, causing chaos. Where things are going fine, okay, and then you want to just, create spite, hatred, enmity, and this is what eventually goes towards battle and killing. So Quran has made it very clear that killing is bad, but something worse is fitna. May Allah protect us from fitna. مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا وَمَا بَطَنَ. External, internal. So the month of Ramadan is coming, please, for Allah's sake, do not use it to fight. Do not use it to fall out. If you're feeling hot in Taraweeh, go and stand by the window. Okay, don't stand in the middle. Okay, and say I'm feeling hot. Okay, go and stand by the window. It's simple, isn't it? Okay, fitna would be to stand in the middle and say I'm feeling hot. Okay, and the way to do it is you go. No, I'm not talking about this masjid, by the way. Generally, this is these are the petty, small things which we still haven't managed to resolve within ourselves, unfortunately. Small things. Okay, doesn't it make sense? If you're standing underneath the air conditioning and you're feeling cold, okay, but you insist on standing there. Well, I'm sorry, my brother, but you need to get some sense. That's all I can say. Move away from it. You need to come over here, and this brother from here needs to move there. Simple. Problem solved. Anyhow, so let's not get into these topics. So there were some fanatics who opposed Imam Shaafi. Sorry, I have to say this. Regarding Eid as well, if somebody wants to celebrate Eid on one day, let them. Somebody wants to do it on another day, it's fine. What I don't understand, what's the issue? This has happened from the beginning of time. It's happened amongst the pious as well. And they've been fine about it. It's one of those things, it's up to people's sighting if they believe and accept the sighting, fine. If you don't accept the sighting, then you're not going to do it, you're going to do it the next day. According to them, it's not valid. According to you, it's valid. That's fine. Get on with your life. Don't pause and don't stop everything there. That's not the end of the world. Talk about all the other things that we've got in common. So the fanatics, they were against Imam Shaafi. When he wrote this book, obviously, you can imagine how crazy they went. And he did istikhara for 1 year before publishing this. So he praised Imam Shaafi first, throughout half of the book, and then he mentioned the things why, and it was all evidence and it was all written there. They started to slander him, and they would debate with him, and they started to beat him. And they started to hit him physically, to the extent that he was beaten multiple times by these fanatics. Some scholars have written that this is what actually caused the death of Imam Shaafi. Okay, these fanatics, these crazy people, the lunatics, they've always been around. Okay, they'll always be around. That's why we're being told to remain vigilant, do what you have to do, and don't give them too much attention, because they're just fanatics. And another thing you learn here is, students, a lot of times, students are very different from the teachers. Okay? Imam Maalik was fine. Imam Maalik, would he have endorsed this? These people claim to be the fanatics, followers of Imam Maalik. Whether really, would you call them a Maliki? Okay? If some guy goes and does something, I really like that picture that was going around about the Hyundai one. Okay? The vehicle that was used. Are we going to point to that vehicle and say, this company is a terrorist now? Don't use this company, okay? So at the end of the day, a lot of times the sheikh, the teacher, the scholar is fine. But them people under them, okay, they can be a bit problematic. So this is what happened over here as well. Imam Shaafi rahmatullah alayhi became very ill. It was Friday, the 29th of Rajab, the year 204. At the age of only 54 years old, Imam Shafi'i rahmatullah passed away in Cairo, in Egypt. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Once again, the Ummah lost a gem, the Ummah lost a giant, the Ummah lost a great scholar. And it was on his deathbed that whilst he was passing away, the words of poetry that you heard in the beginning, Ilayka, okay, and if you get time, a lot of you will have heard the actual Arabic. It's sung normally very nicely. It's quite long, so if you get a chance, try and listen to that. There's much poetry of Imam Shaafi. All of his poetry is very beneficial, but this one is what he actually said on his deathbed. He was crying and he was complaining to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about himself, and in this manner he passed away and he left the world. When he passed away, who was one of his female teachers? Do you remember the name? Nafisa bint al-Hasan. Now, they knew that she will be grieved. So before taking the body of Imam Shaafi'i into the Masjid of Amr ibn al-As, which was the main Jami' Masjid, they took the body to the house of Nafisa, the female teacher of Imam Shaafi'i, and she's the first to perform the janazah salah on him in the house. She performed the janazah in the house on him, and then he was taken to the masjid. And one of the greatest regrets, like we said earlier, Imam Shaafi'i had when he reached Egypt. What was one of his greatest regrets? Not meeting Layth ibn Sa'ad. So he couldn't meet him once he was alive. So what they did, they decided to bury Imam Shaafi'i right next to Layth ibn Sa'ad. So those of you who've been to Egypt and Cairo, to the Masjid of Amr ibn al-As, radiyallahu anhu, very, very old masjid, still standing. Outside the masjid you have the grave of Layth ibn Sa'ad. Right next to it you have the grave of the great Imam al-Shafi'i, rahimahullah. Imam An-Nawawi. You've heard the name of Imam An-Nawawi. You hear the 40 hadith of Nawawi. Imam An-Nawawi is also a great scholar who has written a commentary of Sahih Muslim, other books as well, Riyadh al-Salihin, and other books as well. Imam An-Nawawi, again, a great Shafi'i scholar. One of the greatest Shafi'i scholars, you could say, he was Imam An-Nawawi. He used to say that Imam Shaafi would always carry a stick with him. And people would ask him, are you ill? Is it like a walking stick? Are you not well? He says, no. I believe that I'm a traveler. This stick reminds me that you're always a traveler. You're not a resident in this world. And I'm always a traveler, and I remind myself with this stick that you're not here to stay, you're here to go. What was the methodology of Imam Shaafi'i? Again, like the other Imams, the first point of reference of Imam Shaafi'i, we call this his usul, that the first thing he would look at is the Book of Allah, the Holy Quran. And he would look at the Sunnah. The difference between Malik and Shafi'i, where they differ with Abu Hanifa. Imam Abu Hanifa would first look at Quran. Then he would look at the Hadith. But remember, Imam Abu Hanifa didn't take any Hadith which only came through one narrator. You had to have like loads of people narrating it for him to accept it. So he was very, very strong on Hadith. This actually goes against what people say about Abu Hanifa. So instead of him taking the hadith which only came through one narrator, he'd rather stick to the Quran. He says, I've got Quran. Okay, whereas Imam Malik, Imam Shafi'i, they accepted hadith which came only through one narrator as well, Khabar al-Ahad. And then, what was the speciality of the methodology of Imam Malik? Who's going to remind me? Imam Malik would look at Quran and Sunnah, and then the people of Medina. Well remembered, mashallah. He would look at what the people of Medina do. Because he would say what the people of Medina do is what the Sahaba did. And what the Sahaba did is what the Prophet ﷺ did. That was actually his methodology and madhab. That he would, whatever the people of Medina do, that's going to be actually an evidence for us. By now, Medina had changed quite a bit. So Imam Shaafi didn't acknowledge that. Medina's changed, the people have changed, their ways have changed, methodologies changed. So he didn't accept that, and he followed. Then after that, he gave preference to the madhab of Ibn Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, the sayings of Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhu. And then he also believed in qiyas, logical analogy, like Abu Hanifa rahmatullah alayh. Now, from amongst the differences Imam Shaafi has with the other schools, could you tell me anything? How would you know someone's a Shafi'i? Anything peculiar that's different? And you know, this is a Shafi'i. And there's other Imams who actually asked to raise the hand as well. Imam Ahmed also. The Iqamah also is different according to all three Imams. Only the Hanafis have before double. Witr also is only the Hanafis who have two and who have three, the others do have one rak'ah. What's the speciality of the Shafi'iyah which is different to the other Imams? besides the prayer times? Again, the other three Imams do believe in performing the Asr early, if that's what you're referring to. Even in the Hanafi madhab, there is a very strong verdict of performing Asr early. This is why Turkey is a very strong, Turkey is a very strong Hanafi madhab following country. However, Asr is early there. Because according to the Hanafi madhab, there is an opinion of performing the Asr early as well, within the Hanafi school. So this is quite interesting. So if ever you're going to be going on travel, on a journey, or time isn't allowing you, and you need to pray your Asr Salah, and according to this Masjid's timetable, Asr has started, you can pray it being a Hanafi as well. Because this is not going out of the Hanafi school. Within the Hanafi school, there is scope. A lot of the Hanafi scholars, like I said to you, Turkey, for example, they're all very strong Hanafi. But this is, you find it, for those of you, a lot of you will have been to Turkey, their Asr is early as well, like it is in the Haramain and other places. So what is it we're looking for? Fajr. What happens in Fajr? The Qunut Nazila. Allahumma hdina fi man hadayt, wa afina fi man afayt. This is a speciality of the Imam Shaafi rahmatullah alayh, and he believed it as part of the Salah, the Fajr, it should be done every day. The other Imams didn't believe it. They said, no, it's not part. If you do it, yes, you do it for a need, when there's atrocities and trouble in the world, and difficulties come upon the Ummah. But according to Imam Shaafi, no, it should be done every single day. Now, we're talking about people being fanatics, okay? There are sometimes people who do become extreme. A scholar was mentioning once, we were on the airport, and we were about to fly, and the final call had been made. And we thought that what's going to happen is, if we go on board the flight, we're going to end up missing our salah. So we thought, let's quickly do 2 rakat fajr. How long does it take? If you're traveling and you need to perform 2 rakat, okay, you can pray in 1 minute. Of course, you're going to travel. Rather than you miss the salah, make it short, and you pray a quick 2 rakat and go. Because rather than missing it, okay, so the scholar says, we got one guy, we made him the imam. Okay, we started the Fajr, so he read the shortest surah as possible. Quick ruku, Allahu Akbar, Sami Allahu liman hamdah, Allahu Akbar, Allah. And when he came to Sami Allahu liman hamdah in the second rakat, then he said, Allahumma hdina fi man hadayt, wa afina fi. He goes, this guy, the scholar is saying that we're behind, they're about to cook, they're calling our names out, and he's doing his Qunut Nazila. Okay, that is not a time to do. Imam Shaafi would not have agreed with you doing Qunut Nazila at this time. Sometimes we become a bit fanatic, okay? We need to understand, these Imams who had differences, majority of these things are not necessary. They believed it to be mustahab, better. According to Imam Shafi'i, okay, it's better, right, when you're going to go into ruku to raise your hands. If a Shafi'i didn't do it, that's perfectly fine. Imam Abu Hanifa, according to him, it's sunnah to raise the hands once in the beginning and not to do it throughout the salah. Do you understand? If somebody did it, or somebody didn't do it, or if a Shafi, for example, didn't say Ameen loud, he said it quietly, it's not going to change your salah. It's not something to fight about. According to these Imams, the difference is of what was better, not what was faraz or haram. Do you understand? It wasn't something that was prohibited or a must. It was what they saw as better. Anyhow. So, according to the Shafi'iyah, one of the specialities we mentioned was the Qunut in Fajr. There are some others as well. Anyhow, from the books of Imam Shaafi, we said Kitab al-Umm, al-Risala. Imam Muzani summarized the madhab of Imam Shaafi, and he's got a book called al-Mukhtasar. And then you've got the fatwas of Imam Shaafi, Qadim, old, and then you've got Jadid, the new ones as well. I'm just going to mention to you some of the great Shafi'i scholars. And you'll have heard most of these names. So first of all, Imam An-Nawawi. Imam An-Nawawi was one of the greatest Shafi'i scholars, and he's got a book on the Shafi'i school called Al-Maqasid. And then he's also got a book called Rawdat al-Talibin, and also he's a commentator of Sahih Muslim as well. Another great Shafi'i scholar was Imam Ghazali. We've heard of Imam Ghazali, the author of Ihya Ulumuddin, Imam Ghazali rahmatullah alayhi. Imam Ghazali actually spent a lot of time in Masjid al-Aqsa, and the Ihya Ulumuddin, part of that was written whilst he was living and staying in Masjid al-Aqsa. Another great Shafi'i scholar is Hafiz ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. Who is Hafiz ibn Hajar al-Asqalani? Who is this? What did he do? If anybody wants to understand Sahih al-Bukhari, you know you got some of these brothers, these akhis, that always go on about Bukhari. It's impossible for you to understand the Bukhari without understanding the commentary of Fathul Bari, written by Hafiz ibn Hajar al-Asqalani al-Shafi'i. He was a hardcore Shafi'i. He actually proved that Imam Bukhari was a Shafi'i as well. Though there is difference of opinion, but he went as far as to say that I strongly believe Imam Bukhari was a Shafi'i. Most of the scholars believe Imam Bukhari was an Imam in himself. He had his own madhab, okay? He had his own viewpoints. But Imam Hafiz ibn Hajar is a great scholar. He's quite a staunch Shafi actually. Imam Al-Dhahabi, a very great hadith scholar. Again, he's a Shafi. Imam Suyuti, Jalaluddin Suyuti, we've all heard the name. Again, Shafi'i. Hafiz Ibn Kathir, Tafsir Ibn Kathir, okay, a great Shafi'i. You know, some people say that if you follow a madhab, then you're a deviant. If you follow a madhab, then you're doing shirk. If you follow a madhab, then like you're following them, you're not following Allah and His Rasul. Are you going to say the same things about these scholars? If today one of you were to say that you're a Maliki or a Shafi or a Hanbali or a Hanafi, you'd get blasted by some of these people. Honestly, they're very, very, they're crazy. They say all sorts of things. What about what they're going to say about these great scholars of Islam? Hafiz ibn Kathir. Who doesn't benefit from the tafsir of Hafiz ibn Kathir? He was a Shafi'i. Okay? And similarly, Imam al-Bayhaqi, a great hadith scholar. Again, he was a Shafi'i. The first person to write a biography of Imam al-Shafi'i was a person called Dawud al-Zahiri. Dawud al-Zahiri is a very interesting character. He used to be a Shafi'i and then he became a Zahiri. A Zahiri is very similar to what we call a Salafi nowadays, where they're very literal in what they believe. So this was Dawud al-Zahiri. And you also have Imam al-Bayhaqi, who wrote a biography of Imam al-Shafi'i. That was very authentic because he's a hadith scholar. So this is a very authentic biography. And Imam An-Nawawi also. One of the reasons why the Shafi'i school of thought spread, of course Imam Shafi'i traveled to many places, so he had many students, but politics as well. Salahuddin Ayyubi rahmatullah alayhi was a Shafi'i. So now you can imagine wherever he traveled, okay, the Shafi'i madhab spread. That's why in a lot of these areas where Salahuddin Ayyubi rahmatullah alayhi was, where he fought the Crusaders and the Ayyubic period that came after him, a lot of them were Shafi'is. So the madhab of Imam al-Shafi'i, Egypt, is Shafi'i. A lot of Syria, although it's Hanafi as well, but there's a lot of Shafi'is in Syria as well. Parts of Africa, Shafi'i. Ethiopia, Shafi'i. Sudan, Shafi'i. South India, Shafi'i. Okay, I don't know how there's some people here also Shafi'i as well. Did Imam Shaafi visit the Konkan lands? Okay. So this is part of India also, and South India as well. They also follow the Imam Shafi'i as well. Indonesia, Malaysia, all Shafi'i. Okay, there's a massive population of Muslims. They're all Shafi'is. And Yemen, there's a large population of Yemenis who are also Shafi'i. Sri Lanka, Shafi'i. Palestine, they're all Shafi'is. Lebanon, Jordan, okay, the main madhab in all of these countries is the Shafi'i madhab, and also Somalia as well. In Somalia as well, a lot of these Somalis are also Shafi'i as well. So one is because Imam Shaafi had many students, he traveled himself, but a lot of the political conquests which were made, due to which the madhab of Imam Shafi'i rahmatullah spread very far and wide. For today, we can all become Shafis for one day. I'm only joking. So these great Imams, all of these Imams, when you listen to these Imams, I mean, it's amazing. They were all amazing individuals, and you feel like, okay, today I want to become a Shafi. This isn't surprising. Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah alayhi, Muhammad Zakaria Nawwarallahu Marqadahu, at one point in his life actually expressed the desire to become a Shafi'i. He was so impressed, but then he was advised against it, and he didn't become a Shafi'i. He was a Hanafi. But then again, he wrote the commentary on the Muwa'tta. Muwa'tta Imam Maalik. He's wrote like a massive, in so many volumes, about 14 volumes, Awjazul Masalik, doing the commentary of Imam Malik's book. And this is the author of Fadail al-A'mal. You know Fadail al-A'mal, which is read. Again, this is another area where people like to blast, okay, this great hadith scholar, okay, who has reached a pinnacle which I don't think any scholar will be able to reach now. The knowledge Allah blessed him with. For him to write a commentary on the Muwa'tta in Arabic, and it was done so amazingly that when the great Maliki scholars read it, they said it seems like this scholar has made Imam Malik into a Hanafi. Like he's written it so extensively and so well that today it's used throughout the Arab world as well. Awjazul Masalik, written by Hadar Shaykh Rahmatullah Alayh, who is the author of Fadail A'mal. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us a true love of all of these great Imams. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all the ability to have love and peace between us. This is one of the main lessons we learn from these Imams. That these Imams, there were lots of differences in their opinions they had with the other Imams. But the difference didn't get to their hearts. They were just scholarly differences. There were scholarly differences which remained on paper, okay? And it was a difference which, technical differences. At the end of the day, when it came to being brothers, when it came to being an ummah, they were one. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unite us wa akhir da'wana. And alhamdulillah.